Hello and welcome to DMEXCO 2015 in Cologne in Germany, Willkommen in Deutschland, as I think they say around here. I'm delighted to say that on the first morning I've been joined by Richard Firminger, the VP of Business Development at Yahoo, who is a former Yahooer, back at Yahoo now for about a year, I believe, is that
Correct,
right?
yep.
As part of the Flurry acquisition. How are you finding the event so far?
So it's first morning, certainly everyone's sort of setting up and looking forward to the day. It's typically a hectic schedule of back-to-backs, both sort of media interviews, certainly for us I think connecting with some of the publishers that we want to help monetize through Gemini and Gemini platforms. So yeah, I mean it is a very efficient way, of course, in Germany to get around and see loads and loads of interesting customers, clients, and partners. So it should be good.
Yeah. Former Yahooer, back at Yahoo now
Yes.
for around a year through the Flurry acquisition. How are you finding being back in the organisation?
So I think we were just talking off camera. I think Flurry acquisition will stand the test of time actually as one of the better acquisitions. We're definitely helping Yahoo accelerate its transition to a mobile-first organization. We have a huge relationship with many developers. It's over 220,000 developers and 720,000 apps. And translating those insights into targetable data, helping Yahoo be more relevant to the advertising and marketing community as they try to manage that migration of consumers across platform. Yahoo has a huge amount of data, so does Flurry by device ID in apps. So I think it's actually really good to be part of that and to help Yahoo through that transition. Marissa's really focused on it and she's got a great team. A lot of those have mobile first orientation. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good place to be right now.
Yeah. And obviously, Yahoo's acquisition was driven, I'm sure, largely by this surge towards mobile that we're seeing across the industry at the moment, and I'm sure it's going to be a really dominant theme of this event as well. How are you finding mobile in terms of the way that brands are approaching it at the moment? What trends you're seeing in terms of consumer trends in the way that advertisers are using mobile?
So I think every marketer's sort of grappling with the challenge of understanding what the implications are as users migrate in their billions from almost all other content access points into smart devices and into app. And I think that's a real challenge for everyone. And if you get slightly techie on it for a moment, cookies don't apply as a means to be able to sort of define, segment, and target users in a mobile and in an in-app world. It's more by device identification schemes rather than cookies. So there are those technical challenges. And Flurry's sort of, been part of that for 7 or 8 years and can really help Yahoo, help marketers grapple that transition, as I mentioned before. Yeah. In terms of trends, I mean, up and to the right, people are consuming in-app content more than they ever have. In my data presentation tomorrow, that's up 22% from 3 hours a day to 3 hours 40. 90% of that is in-app. That's grown 2 percentage points from 88 a year ago. Just consumers are spending more and more time consuming content inside applications on their smart devices. It's incredible to watch.
Is there still a sense that the industry is catching up with consumers and it's consumers that are forging ahead at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. The industry has debates in itself about, is it going to be HTML5? Is it not? What about dynamic content and responsive design and mobile web? I think consumers are definitely driving that. They're voting with their time, saying, I'm going to message my friends in an app. I'm going to connect socially in an app. I'm going to read my news in an app. I'm going to get my sports news. I'm going to entertain through YouTube and other entertainment sites. I'm going to do all my productivity and utility and email in apps. I'm going to shop in apps. So this very powerful set of devices that we can choose from, and the sheer number of apps we can download. It's nearly 1.5 million unique apps that are in each of the app stores. Yeah. Just because it's consumers definitely driving that.
Yeah. I guess the biggest issue for facing advertisers around mobile is complexity and knowing what to do and what to do that's going to really resonate and cut through.
Yes.
There's obviously lots of options. There's so many technologies.
Of course.
4 halls filled with all manner of companies that are doing things around mobile, I'm sure. Do you have any advice for advertisers about how to just approach mobile?
I think we've gone beyond sort of, test and learn. I think it's about embracing this challenge and executing as efficiently as possible. The good news in these smaller devices is that the ad units themselves have started to move on. I was at conferences a couple of years ago saying, some bright person is going to invent a better ad unit than a banner on our tablet and on our smartphone, or worse, a full-page ad that's highly intrusive, doesn't sit gracefully in the experience. And I think native and Yahoo's built a native ad unit inside the Gemini platform. I think does sit graciously. It's well designed. It's clearly demarked as an ad, but doesn't jar. If you then power that with really good targeting, it should be relevant.
Yeah. And that helps with the big threat that everyone's talking about at the moment, which is these ad blockers.
Yes. Hard to predict what might happen with ad blockers. I think each time we have OS operating system updates, there's usually stuff in there that maybe can act as a wake-up call for the industry. And specifically on mobile, there is a theory that users will ad block and content block because it makes the download times faster, you use less data, it costs you less money, and heck, you get rid of advertising. I mean, from a consumer perspective, it's a bit of a no-brainer. That said, operating systems tend to update overnight through the cloud, and most people carry on almost, without noticing. I think the wake-up call is to make the ad units highly relevant, graceful, embed into the user experience so that it enhances and improves the experience. And I think there is always a quid pro quo between free content and advertising that exists on television, in newspapers and radio, and the same law applies in advertising. But as long as that ad is not, irrelevant, too frequent, interruptive, and like I said, I think the good news is we're spending a lot of time on making sure the ads are designed well, be it native or in-stream video, making sure it's targeted properly, and that's why Yahoo bought Flurry, because in an app world that, as I've explained, is tougher, and make it highly relevant. I think, and we forecast this year that mobile advertising is worth $33 billion. In-app advertising is worth about the same, so it's a $65 billion market globally. And half of that is for mobile advertising. So we hope that the industry continues to work as hard as it can, as effectively as it can, to make sure that consumers embrace that and understand that quid pro quo between, ad revenue and free content.
Yeah. And final question, I don't want to keep you too long, other than not getting lost wandering around these halls, which is going to be a challenge in itself, I think. Is there anything particularly that you'd like to come away from this event? Is it having found something that you didn't know about before? Or?
I mean, I see it, even wandering around this morning, you see a lot of claims about the connectivity between on and offline data, and that to me is one of the hardest challenges. We talk about connecting the same user on a mobile website and in an app, which is difficult, but actually connecting that shopper who's making an impulse buy in a retail environment and understanding that same shopper maybe through beacons to a customer database, and making that connection, I think is really interesting. I think we're beginning to solve that, and through effective location-based technologies. And then, the move to programmatic is always a hot topic. It was in Cannes, it was at MWC, it is here at DMEXCO. And I think that makes it, an interesting dynamic. There's still a lot of invested time and effort in direct sales and managed businesses and insertion orders, dare I say it. And I think programmatic will have its part to play, and it will grow extremely fast. And I think you look at all the suppliers here, almost all of them have a programmatic flavor of one shape or form.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
I
Alex.
hope you enjoyed the event.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.